Just a quick review on the Elemental Designs blah 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 13-inch woofer. Okay, so this is a turd, all right? And when I say that, I'm not saying that it doesn't perform. I'm not saying that it isn't awesome. Sure, it's awesome. To my standards, though, as far as technology goes, and also as far as marketing goes, this was meant to be something that was like phenomenally better, and it's not. So there's a couple of problems with it, but just some quick technical information. This one uses the standard 5-inch hole pattern, or 127 millimeter. The only addition or consideration it does, it uses M8 hardware. So of course manufactured in China, like all of Elemental Design stuff, ED, erectile dysfunction stuff. This one uses a 2-piece T-yoke, which I'm not a fan of, especially because it sticks out. I don't know if you can see that. See how that little line right there? That's the second piece. And so when I tried putting a coil in there, sometimes it would get hung up on it. Technically it shouldn't. So, but here's the issue with it. It's meant to look really awesome, and it's meant to be underhung. And the coil that it uses, the coil height is about half that, and this is only 40 millimeters. So it's going to be about 20 millimeter. It's meant to stay inside the gap at all times, but it only moves about 2 inches linear, or even less than that. So the other problem I have is that this frame, which by the way is very, very heavy, and it's very strong, but it will probably never be used by anybody else again because it's a weird size, and it uses weird soft parts. And in this case, it looks like they use a 9-inch spider, which is fine. I don't give a shit about that. It's a little big, considering that the excursion is limited by the coil. Not in order for underhung to do what underhung claims, it can't leave the gap, right? So why would you need a 9-inch spider? See, it's meant to impress people. So, and this 2 inches of steel is meant to impress people. What I'll probably end up doing is just taking pictures and notes so that if I ever need to make a recon for somebody or help guide them to do a conversion, which I am right now, you can just put the regular 12-spoke or 4-spoke frame on this. You just have to make the mount holes bigger and then use M8 hardware, and then you just make it regular. The coil that we found that works really well with it is it's not here. It's the JL coils that I have, that I had made for recons on the 12W7. So the 12W7 coils that I have, those I'm selling for $65 each shipped. They're made of, I forget, probably aluminum, but I probably preferred copper because it makes them a little bit heavier, which ends up playing deeper and lower and performing better in ported boxes. Just the roll off is more desirable, and that's why I use them. But the reason why I would use that one is because it uses a Kapton former, which is they say it's reinforced fiberglass, but it feels like plastic. So, but it's high temperature plastic, and if it hits that seam that's inside of there, it won't make that noise. And so that's why I would prefer it. So, and it's a little taller on the wine height too. It's like a 65 millimeter. Well, this is the Slim Jim D2, and then this is the 3 HP Slim, both of which have like an average of 60 millimeter wine height. But even 60 millimeter wine height is dangerous for a motor like this because it's actually very shallow. So if you center it, which is how you should center it on the center of the top plate, it hits bottom real quick. And so again, this is one of the reasons why this is a turd. It's misleading. And so you end up having to use a short coil, and even when you use this one, then it's like it bottoms out real quick. So I'm not a fan of it, that's all. So I think Elemental Designs was designing for a direct replacement for the 13W7, and they failed. So that whether or not that has anything to do with them going out of business or being located in, what was it, Iowa? I don't know. I don't care. It's a dead company, and then this is a turd woofer. But I happen to get a dead one from somebody on trade, and I thought it'd be good for the library, and it's been sitting on the shelf for years. So what I'll probably do is getting all the parameters for it so that I know them, and I can, you know, use something else as a jig in order to make a recone kit or some sort of adapter for it. And then what I'll do is I'll melt it down. So I'm not actually melting the steel down. What I'm doing is I'm going to put it on the hot plate, remove this, recycle the ferrite, and then turn this T-yoke into something bigger or stronger, or put a thinner top plate on it. So, and then use this top plate for something else. This top plate is so thick you could actually cut it into thirds and use it for something else. Not that much effort's worth a top plate, because typically you can get a top plate from China for like $2, $3. So, but if this is already here, this might be good for a different application. What this would really be good for is something that's really kind of overwhelming or very tall, such as, is it still over here? Yeah, it's still over here. My Brahma Mark V, that would be good for that. You'd have to raise it up a little bit though. So it'd be good for making something that's XBL, where it has a, you know, you can modify the top and the bottom of the gap in order to give more BL at the end of the stroke. So, but that's it. That's my quick review. Let's see if yeah, see, this is the regular 12-inch mega roll, and it has these big gaps. Sorry, has these big gaps in there, so that it won't work. But that's also the fault of the manufacturer to have these. So, and you don't need this anyway, because it's only meant to move like an inch linear. But it is very heavy, and so it might seem impressive. It'd probably be best used for home theater, but then again, something like, gosh, CVX. This is about on par with the performance of a Kicker CVX. That's it. It's only good for maybe 1200 watts, especially with a coil that small. You're gonna saturate it real quick with heat. So if you find one of these, I'm sorry. It's really good for dragging around the yard to pick up nails. You'll be surprised what you find in your yard. But for the most part, it's just kind of a turd. And again, it's good for something to show off or just have on a shelf, but it's not really good to use. It's kind of a waste. So, but Elemental Designs is dead, so you don't have to worry about that shit anymore. So I love you guys. I will talk to you later.